Hi, I'm Bob Tabor with www.learnvisualstudio.net. This is the second course in a series of courses designed to help you grasp the fundamentals of Microsoft Azure. For a more formal introduction to this series of 4 courses, please refer to the first module in the first course titled simply Microsoft Azure Fundamentals that can also be found on Microsoft Virtual Academy. In this second installment, I'm going to focus on Microsoft Azure websites. As we're going to discuss in the very next module, Microsoft recommends that you choose Azure websites whenever you need to host a website, regardless of whether it's a brownfield or greenfield, whether it's legacy or a brand new ASP.NET Web Forms application or MVC application or PHP or Python and many other options as well. Azure Websites is built on top of Internet Information Services, but it's a simplified platform that requires very little from you to configure, very little from you to deploy, because many tools are built right into the tools that you're currently using, like Visual Studio. And all the while, it still delivers many critical services to your website, like monitoring and alerting and scaling and logging at many different levels, as we'll learn. Security and backups and scheduled jobs and a lot more. So to learn about Microsoft Azure websites and to prepare for teaching this course, I decided to take a slightly different approach. I decided to get my nose out of the books, so to speak. I decided to stop reading all the documentation and actually build something and let people use it and to get it in the hands of real people and let them give me feedback. Not only was this a lot of fun, probably the most fun that I've had in a long time, it was also the most educational approach that I could possibly take, and I highly recommend it. We'll come back to that in just a moment. So I created a little game. It is a casual, long-play, web-based game called Hero vs. Robot. You can go out and hit it at herovsrobot.net. And I came up with the idea literally in like 3 minutes one morning for all the business rules and all that. And in fact, I published it out to GitHub. I've made it available for free under the MIT license, so you can grab it down, you can do whatever you want with it, you can create your own game based on it, use it for your own learning adventures, make $1 million with it. I'll be envious, but congratulations if you make that happen. But you can get to the GitHub version of it at this URL on screen. And furthermore, I'm going to deconstruct this application and rebuild it from scratch on my own website, www.learnvisualstudio.net. So if you're interested in the thought process that went behind some of the architectural decisions for building this website, then you'll definitely want to check that out. So the first version of this looked absolutely horrid. And then I got a friend of mine to help create some graphics, and it's less horrible now. But not only did it look bad, it had a ton of errors in it. But the point of this exercise was not to build a game that made me $1 million, even though that would be nice, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. The point of this exercise was really to learn about some important technologies. For example, I learned a lot about ASP.NET Identity 2.0 and OAuth and how to create social login, so somebody can use their Twitter or Facebook account to create an account and to log in with my website. I used it to learn about Bootstrap 3 so that if somebody hits my site from a tablet or even from a phone, it still can function and look decent. You know, some of the graphics are gone, but I learned how to remove the buttons and go back to the full kind of console display graphic at the very top by using Bootstrap 3, a mobile-first responsive CSS framework that was created by Twitter. I also used this as a vehicle to learn about the Entity Framework code-first migrations. And as far as data is concerned, I also learned more about working with Azure Storage Tables and Queues. I learned more about using Git and how to create open source projects in GitHub, which was pretty cool. But more importantly, for our purposes in this course, I learned how to create both scheduled and queue-triggered web jobs. What happens behind the scenes here is that there's a couple of web jobs that are performing some business logic to make this game actually happen. I learned about publishing to Azure websites and all the little gotchas and all the little things that I had to keep into consideration and how to hide my configuration settings and app settings and things of that nature so that I could distribute the code and not have to worry about somebody stealing my login credentials. I learned how to set up monitoring and alerts for my website so that if it goes down, if there's some performance problem, I'm the first to know, not my end users. I learned how to cache expensive database operations using Redis, which is hosted by Microsoft and available, as we'll demonstrate near the end of this course. I learned how to set up custom domains and how to set up SSL certificates on my Azure website. I learned how to set up backups and how to test my restores using this website as a vehicle, and I learned a lot more. So I've included the source code, actually a snapshot of the source code in a zip file, along with other projects that I'm using for this course. So if you want to follow along or at least look at the source code, most of those projects are not very exciting, just simple web form applications. But you can download it from wherever you're currently watching this video from, probably on Microsoft Virtual Academy. But this isn't really a course about creating websites, but rather how to deploy and monitor and support your website deployment using the tools that are available in Azure, in the Azure Management Portal. So I'm happy to provide all this information to you in a tidy, concise little format here in the form of videos, but there's really no substitute for hands-on experience. So here's what I recommend that you do to get the most out of this course and really to get the most out of Microsoft Azure websites. First of all, create a pet project. Create anything. Games are fun. Board games or casual social games are fun to build because they have more interesting business rules than business applications. So try recreating your favorite board game or your favorite card game, or try recreating something like Farmville. Make it real simple, tear out some of the business rules and the graphics. Or a game like Travian, or a game like Kingdom of Loathing, some of these popular web-based long play social games. Not only is it fun, but you're also going to get into the flow of deploying and configuring your project to work smoothly on Microsoft Azure websites. And that leads to number 2, practice deploying. Deploy often, experiment, make mistakes, try to break things, then try to fix them. Have your friends or family hit your puny little website. Tell them it's for a good cause. Monitor their usage and watch how your application performs with application logging that you build into your app, or just the metrics that are available to you here on the dashboard for a given website. So use your imagination. Create a project, anything. It doesn't have to change the world. I give you permission to trod on well-worn paths, but just build something and then deploy it and then practice the concepts and the lessons that we're going to work through together in this course. All right, so are you ready to get started? I hope you are. Let's talk about your website hosting options and why Microsoft recommends that you choose Azure websites for almost all hosting scenarios. So we'll see you in the next module. Thank you.